Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So today we are going to be making this A-line gown, and this tutorial will be about the body, how to cut it and how to stitch it together. I wasn't able to video the sleeve area completely, so this video, the sleeves cutting and stitching will be included. Hi guys, my name is Fatima Yusuf, and on this platform I share sewing tutorials. If something like that, let's get to it. So I made use of Ankara fabric, cotton Ankara fabric. You need to measure your full length plus your additional allowance. At the upper part, this white line, you measure it twice and then you split it in between. That's the the length. You split it into two. After splitting, right, then I'm going to fold one, and this is it on the floor. So you have two pieces. You fold all the two pieces and give it a good iron press. So firstly, you're working on one piece first. I'm going to go ahead and mark 2 inches at the close part for my zipper allowance. So I'll just mark them out and join them with a straight line using my ruler. So after doing this, then the other piece that you folded also, I give a good iron press, you will now bring it here and place it on this piece. So this one that I have 2 inches mark will be your back piece, while the other one is going to be your front piece. So I'm going to place it starting from that my 2 inches, and basically you're going to have extra 2 inches at the other parts, but it's all good. So I'm going to make sure they align well. After that, I'm going to go ahead and mark out my borderline where I'm starting my markings from. If your fabric, your pieces align at the upper part, you might not need to draw the starting point. So I drew it and then I'll just cut it out. So I'm starting all my markings from that line, right? Good. So after marking it, I'm just going to cut it out and then we'll start marking. So you'll be needing your waist, your bust. Some cases you might need your hip, but in this one it's not necessary. And then you need your full length, right? So I'm going to go ahead and mark my client's shoulder measurement divided by 2. I'll mark it, and what you need to know is that all your markings going to start from that your front piece. You're not starting your markings from the 2 inches that you mark at the back piece, because you're taking that in what after you're done sewing. So after marking a shoulder divided by 2, I took it downward by 9 inches. That'll be for our armhole length. So I joined those points together. After doing that, I'll go ahead and mark out my client's neckline, right? So for the width, I made use of 4 inches, and for the back neckline, it's going to be a round neckline. So I marked 2 inches and I formed my curve. If you have a curve ruler, a French curve, you can make use of it in this case. So after that, the front neckline is going to be a V neckline. So downward on my front piece, I marked 6.5 inches, and I'm going to join that point together to make that my 4 inches width at the upper part with my ruler. So I've formed my V neckline and my round neckline, right? Good. After doing this, you can go ahead and cut and mark your shoulder slope, but firstly I went ahead to just extend that my client armhole length. I'm going to extend it with a straight line. Like I said, you'll be needing your bust measurement and your waist measurement, right? And your full length. Mostly for A-line gowns, there is no need for your hip measurement. So after extending that line, I took my tape from my shoulder. I marked the chest point, which is 10, and I marked 18 for my client's waistline, right? And then, like I said, in most cases you don't need your hip line, but I went ahead and marked my hip line 24 inches. So some people don't really like their A-line to be too wide, so in that case you might need your hip line. I'll just extend all those points out, your armhole length, and then your chest point or your bust point, and then your waistline. So on that my armhole length that I extended out, I input my client's bust divide by 4, and then I added allowance. I marked 2 inches allowance. So everything I'm doing on the armhole length line, I also did it on my chest line. So for the waist, your waist divided by 4, then plus your allowance. I added 2 inches because while measuring the body parts, the waist and the bust, I added few allowance to it. So in your case, you have a tight measurement, you might add 3. So I went ahead, I found the midpoint of my armhole length. I marked 1 inch for my shoulder slant, and I just joined it to meet my neckline width, right? So after marking the shoulder slope, that was when I found the midpoint, but you can do it before marking the shoulder slant. So I extended the midpoints out by 0.5 and I formed my armhole curve. So that this armhole curve that is entering inward is for your front piece, not for your back. I'll join those 2 points together, right? And then, like I said, you don't really need your hip measurement. Now from that my waist, I'll just make a slant line to meet the down part of my piece like this, and you've drawn out your pattern. So then you go ahead and cut out your piece. Sorry, this video is too fast, it's not a recent one, so that's why. So I'll cut out the armhole, and then you need to be careful when you're cutting your armhole. You need to cut your back and front separately. So from this video you understand. So the front one, it's like inward more than the back piece, right? So I went ahead and I just cut out my piece like so, like this, right? Sorry. So after doing this, at the down part of my piece, right, I'm going to mark few inches. I mark 2, 1. Some people tend to mark 4 in some cases, and then you form a curve and then you just cut it out. So then I went ahead to slit my piece into 2. That's for your back piece, and then I cut out my front neckline. Sorry, like I said, this video is too fast. I've edited it since, so that's why. So I now cut out lining for the back and front. All you need to do is just get your lining, give it a good iron press, and trace out what you have on your Ankara fabric, also on your lining, and this is it. And thankfully my lining length was not up to 60, so basically I didn't have to reduce because I'm not doing a fully lined gown, right? So now work on the front piece because that's where the design is. So I'm going to get my bias. I made use of 3, I think it was 2, but I bought 3 bias in black color, and I'm going to go ahead and create my design. So you can freestyle with your bias, do anything you want with your bias, and it always comes out nice. So basically we have our design on our neckline first, and I'm not opening up my bias. I'm going to stitch it the way it comes with those 0.5 inches folded in, right? Sorry, 0.25 inches that is folded in. So just watch what I will do. So the way I'm putting this, right, the bias, that's the way I'm going to go ahead and stitch them. So after stitching, I made use of 3 lines. I did 3 lines, and in between I made sure I left 0.25 inches in between each of the lines. So this was what I did. And then after doing that, I need to do another layer, but not a little bit far from what we have up. So I'm just showing what I did, how I stitched the V neckline. I know it's V neckline, so basically when you get to that V curve, there is a way you need to fold in a little bit of your bias before you be able to stitch. So I did this, and I also did the second layer. I left about 2 inches in between before I went to do the other layer. So I did 3 also, the down parts, and I made sure the distance between each bias is 0.25. So I gave it a good iron press, and that's what we have. This out the back side of the front piece looks like. It's just your stitches that will show. So if you want to line, you line. Some people might not like to line it, it's all good, but if you're not lining, you will need to bias your neckline, and you can as well just bring the bias out on your front face to make it finer, right? This is just me showing you I had 2 inches distance between the one layer and the second layer. Good. So after doing this, now we are going to go ahead and then line our piece. That's what we are doing next. And then sorry, the distance I had between the 2 layers is 1.5 inches, not 2 inches. Sorry about that. So now all you need to do is just place your lining on your fabric, right face facing right face, right? And I'll go ahead, I'm going to stitch my neckline area, but before doing that, I'll just hem the down part of my lining. I'll hem it a little bit, and then I'm going to stitch the neckline by 1/2 inch and also stitch the sides. So I'm not going to stitch the armhole area part. We're leaving that place on stitch, and the shoulder part, I'm not going to be stitching those parts. So I'm going to do that for back and front. I know that our back piece is actually 2 pieces, so you are doing the same thing for the back piece also. So this is it after stitching, and then you need to notch your V neckline, the angle from there, so that when you turn it out you get a very neat result. So I just notch the sides, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it. So I'm just showing you guys where I stitch. So I'm going to turn it outward, and I'll give it a good iron press. One thing about lining your dresses is that you need to give them a good iron press to make them pop out more and nicer. So I just turn it out, and then I'll go ahead and give it a good iron press. After doing that, I'll go ahead and start working on my back piece. I told you guys we have 2 pieces at our back piece, right? Because we slitted the zipper part. So I'll go ahead and also line. I stitched the shoulder, sorry, the neckline, the 2 sides. I left the shoulder and the armhole on stitch also for the back piece, and I also hem the down part of my lining. I'm going to turn them, give them a good iron press, and I'll stitch them together. So while stitching, I'll measure my length of my zip, right? And from the beginning of my neckline at the parts this other side, this straight side, I'm going to stitch that 2 inches, right? You can stitch 1.5, and then I'm going to make sure from the beginning to where my zip is going to stop, I'll use a loose stitch. Then where my zip is stopping, I'm using a tight stitch, and I'll just take that stitch downward and top stitch when I get to the down of my fabric, so that I can easily loose and then stitch my zip to it. So that's what I did here. I'm going to go ahead and open it up and give it a good iron press. You open up the allowance and give it a good iron press, so that when you lose it open, your lines will be visible, and then stitching your zip to your dress will be so easy. So that was what I did. I just have to remove the thread, and then I'm go ahead and stitch my zip to it. I normally stitch my zip like this: front face of my zip on front face of my Ankara fabric. So like I told you, that iron press already gave it a line, so I'll make sure I'm stitching on that line. That's how I do stitch my zip. You might have your method, it's all good. So after stitching, this is what we have. So I'm going to go ahead, I will take that excess at the upper part inward and also stitch that side like this. After doing that, I'm going to join my shoulders together for both back and front. All you need to do is take your Ankara fabric, the front face should meet the Ankara fabric, the front face of your back piece and your front piece should align for your Ankara and also for your lining. So front face and front face are meeting. Then just run a straight stitch 0.5. Make sure the middle point aligns, and then you have a very neat result by the end. So that's how I normally stitch my shoulders together. So after stitching our shoulders together for both left and right, I'm going to go ahead and cut out piece for my pocket. For the pocket, you can mix of any dimension you want, the one you feel it's okay for you. So after cutting out my pocket, I have 4 pieces, so I have to take two since we have 2 pockets, and I stitched the 3 sides. That's the left, the sides and the down part, and I left the upper part, which is that white place, unstitched. That'll be for my pocket opening, and I'm going to go ahead, I stitched them right, and this is what it looks like. Then on my piece, I'm going to measure 8 inches downward like this. That's from my armhole. I'm going to measure 8 inches, and then I'll measure what I want to make use of for my sleeve opening. So I marked 7 inches. You need to be sure that what you marked here is also what you have on your pocket. That's the opening part. Did that for both left and right, and I'm going to go ahead and tie stitch those points and then lose the in between, the stitches in between. I'm going to lose them, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch my pocket to it. So I'm stitching my pocket in the way, just the way I normally stitch my sleeve to my armhole, front face facing front face. You see what I would do? So front face to face front face, then you stitch, and then to the right I will stitch. So I just went ahead to lose the stitches in between, and you have this opening on your piece, right? And then I will go ahead and stitch my pocket to it. Like I said earlier, the way I normally stitch my armhole, that's the way I do it. So I'm going to turn it over and take it inside, and I'll make sure that my right face of my pocket and right face of my fabric of my piece or your dress are facing each other. So after stitching, the wrong face will be at the wrong face and the right face will be where it's supposed to be. I hope you guys are understanding. So basically that's what I did. I just stitch all through. So you watch carefully, you understand. So I've done that, and this is what we have, right? Good. So like I said earlier, this tutorial will be basically about the body, how to cut out A-line gowns and how to stitch and line, and basically how to stitch your pocket to it, right? So this for the sleeve, I was not able to capture all the processes because of space, so that's why I said the tutorial won't be about the sleeve, but this was what I did. So after everything, I hemmed it down, stitched my sleeve to it, and guys, this is the final result. So I didn't actually bead the gown. I had to give it to a beader, a professional beader, to do that for me. Like I said, you need your full length, your bust and your waist measurement, and you are good to go. Then for the sleeve, you might need your sleeve length and round sleeve and so on, right? Basically that's what you need to make your A-line gown. It's very easy, it doesn't take much of your time. So guys, this is the end of the video, you'll see it on my clients later on. Thank you all for watching. And for this style, in case you don't want to bead it, you can also just put stone. It's going to be good and it's going to look nice also. So this was it before the beading, and you see it with the beads on my clients. So guys, if this video has been helpful in one way or the other, please don't forget to follow me, give me a thumbs up, drop your comments, and then don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It's really going to go a long way for me. Thank you so much for watching. For any question, please drop it in the comment section, and like I always say, for any request, you can send in request and I'm going to see to it by God grace. So thank you for watching my video. See you guys in another one. Bye.